Hello and welcome. So in this tutorial, we are going to be looking at how to set up a Django project. Before setting up a Django project, we are going to configure or set up a Git repository. And remember, we had installed Git. To confirm that you have installed Git, just type the command Git and you'll see that it will give you some suggestions here. So specifically, we are going to be using the git init command to create an empty Git repository or initialize an existing one. But since we do not have an existing one, we know that we are just going to be creating a new Git repository. So we are just going to run a git init, and it has created a Git repository, and of course it's giving us some hints here. But nevertheless, I'm just going to use a git branch m. I'm going to call the main branch main, instead of the default master. So you can just run a git branch. You can just do a git status command, and you will see that these are the two files that we have, which are untracked by git. So let me just clear these, and before adding these files, I'm going to configure a gitignore file, which is a configuration that tells Git on which files to ignore. Some files contain sensitive data, some files contain specific information about user accounts, file path, or your local computer, or any other sensitive information like credit cards and the rest. So you may want to ignore such files because I can, for example, use them in my local environment, but I cannot use them in the production environment, or I don't need to share. For example, I don't need to share my credit card information or my computer, file path information with the public using Git or in a place like GitHub repository. So I'm going to use a quick method here. Since we have installed Node, remember we installed Node.js, so we have this npx command, which we can use to set up a git ignore for Python, specifically for Python. So I'm going to type npx git ignore and Python. So I'm basically telling npx to generate a git ignore file that is specific to Python. So I think it's going to tell me that it wants to install npx, or it wants to install gitignore, and I'm just going to click yes. So yeah, so you'll see that it has created it quite fast. This is a gitignore file. So these are the files that are going to be ignored: build files, manifest, and all that. So I'm not going to go into the details. You can refer to the gitignore documentation, or equally you can refer to toptiles, gitignore. Don't know whether to call it an API or reference. So this is what you have. You can check it out here. So whatever is being generated here, I believe one way or another is being fetched or is being gotten from toptal. So in this case, if I type Python, it's going to create. Then it's going to create for me, or generate this gitignore specific to Python or any other thing like Node. So you can just use these to generate your files. So I'll share the link in the video description. Yeah. So having done that, let's now go ahead and create our Django project. So since we've installed Django, I can run Django admin command. If I just type it on its own, it's going to give me the list of commands that it's supporting. Not so many, but that's what we have. So I'm going to use the start project command. So I'll just copy this, paste it here. So I'm going to add the name of the project. Let me just call it health facility or facilities. And then I'll add a dot because I want it to create the project inside this current, or to be its root directory. And you'll notice that it has created a folder here that has health facilities, and it has a standard file system, or the usual file system for Django. And then it also has the manage.py command, which we'll now be using to execute our admin or management based commands. So now we are done with the Django admin create project, and maybe we can have a quick look, or before we do that, we can just set up our Django. Sorry, we can do a Python manage.py command, and when we do that, you'll see now it gives us a list of commands that are supported by manage.py. So we are just going to, our interest is creating or starting an application, so we're just going to call it startup. Maybe I can call it facilities. Just trying to think around it. Yeah, let me just call it facilities. So you'll notice that it has created another directory here, facilities, that has a different set of Python files and a folder here that is for managing or dealing with migrations. Yeah, so we have been able to set up an empty Django project, if I may call it that way. And just to ensure that it is working as it should, let me just run the server. There's a run server command that we are going to be using a lot in this tutorial. So when I run the server, it should run a Django server inside these tutorial, or rather inside these file, or rather inside that, using that URL. Sorry. So we have 0.0.01 at 8,000, not 800, 8,000. Sorry. Let me just use localhost port 8,000. Yeah, so this confirms that Django is running. Yeah, so this is what I just wanted us to confirm. So we've been able to set up a Django project, and this summarizes our tutorial. We are not going to do or write any codes here, but now I think we can be able to use our Git. So always remember to save your files, or to track your progress using Git. So in this case, I'm going to just add a message here, and I can maybe write configured or initialized Django. Yeah, so then I can also run my commit. Yeah, so I'll just put a yes. So anyway, you can also do this using your command line here if you want. So I'm just going to close the server, or stop the server, and then I'm going to clear my URL. So we have been able to create our Django project and create an Django application. And in the next tutorial, we are going to see what we can start working with in our application. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe or like this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.